Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We're about the halfway point, so let's get started. Kicking things off, we've got Darth Vader number 26. Where we left off, Vader was going after the governor of a small of an imperial colony world, whose inhabitants included Vader's childhood friends, Kitster and Wald. However, the governor has managed to elude capture twice and is currently holed up in a fortress concealed within an artificial sandstorm. Sabe went after went out into the sandstorm before it started up, and Vader has stopped to go after her. But the only vehicle that they potentially have handy is Kitster's old rebuilt pod racer. So we open with a flashback to Attack of the Clones, the infamous "I hate sand" scene. The issue is actually filled with flashbacks. The Vader gets on the pod racer, starts it up, and heads out after Sabe. Like I said, tons of flashbacks. Include as far back even as to before episode 1, but most of them are flashbacks to points from within the prequel trilogy, including him leaving with tattling with Qui-Gon, him Anakin being evaluated by the Jedi Council, the death of his mother, of Anakin's mother, Padme falling from the gunship during the Battle of Geonosis, but Vader reaches Sabe. However, the sandstorm picks up, and Vader contacts the Executor and insists that one of the turbo laser batteries be focused on his location. When Admiral Piet disputes this order, he's briefly force choked, which I think is at least, as far as I know, the first canonical time that Piet was force choked. As amazingly, Piet made it through Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi without having been force choked. So yeah, but. The turbo laser blast manages to seal Vader, Kitster, and Sabe from the sandstorm, though Sabe appears to be unconscious. On Coruscant, the Emperor senses that something is amiss with his apprentice, and he laughs, and that is where the issue ends. Actually, a pretty good issue. I really liked the various the flashbacks. I mean, they definitely added to the overall story, I'd say. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Dr. Aphra number 23. Where we left off, Aphra was possessed by the Spark Eternal, and so Sonastaros recruited a group of basically people that could help Staros track down Aphra. Her father, a couple exes, and yeah. So we begin aboard the Vermilion. Dr. Aphra has come to speak to the archivist. Explaining that to the archivist that she is also this. Well, the archivist realizes that Aphra is possessed by the Spark Eternal, and the archivist asks Aphra asks the Spark what it wants. The answer being everything. At an undisclosed location, at a rebel rendezvous at an undisclosed location, Staros' team is trying to recruit one final member, but it takes a little bit of doing, but Magna is convinced to join in. One of the members of the team, however, discovers as they board Aphra's ship there's a tracking device aboard it. The tracking device is apparently being monitored by Just Lucky and Ariel U and their crew as they near the Vermilion. Sonastaros and her crew land up on Buruke. Upon arriving, they find a massacred Crimson Dawn cell with one of the dying members pointing out Kofaris as being the archivist's apprentice. Ko explains that the archivist tracked her down, made her feel special and appreciated. But the archivist hired Ko to find the Spark Eternal and bring her any other ascendant artifacts that she came across, and that's how Ko got her list of targets. It was Crimson Dawn intel. But everyone puts together what all they know of Aphra to figure out where Aphra would stash something valuable. Backup plan or asset she could access if everything went south. Apparently, they said that it was a place of great archaeological significance. The most backwater planet at the farthest edge of the galaxy. She wanted to brag about it, so it would be the site of a personal victory. Somewhere, unfortunately, sentimental, and somewhere in plain sight. So they ended up on Birene, which is the only planet that fit the bill. Which was once home to an extinct avian species, now lightly irradiated vacation spot where at least two of the people in the group have been brought. Barely populated, despite being advertised during during Hollywood late night Hollywood reruns because no one wants to be there, except apparently Crimson Dawn, which means something. There is something valuable hidden there. As they make their way through the caves, Magna notes that the whole thing seems purposefully complicated. Like it was designed to feel like a challenge, but a small enclosure that opened up, and a Celestin walks out, and is promptly stabbed in the back. On the Vermilion, the Spark meets Ariel U and Just Lucky. Back on Birene, it turns out that hidden in the structure there is Aphra's old droids. And that is where the issue ends. Definitely interesting. I'm chomping at the bit to see how this storyline concludes. Anyway, moving on to our next book, and our first entry from the Distinguished Competition this week, we've got Deathstroke Inc. number 12. Where we'd left off, Slade Wilson took his first mercenary contract to just take out the doctor who was in charge of the process that made Slade Wilson into, well, Deathstroke. There was a complication, though. Well, a few, but the big ones being that said scientist is under government protection, and since they're in Star City, he's also under the protection of course, Green Arrow. So we get a bit of a fight between Arrow and Deathstroke. Wintergreen is apparently watching, waiting for a clear shot, though. Apparently has a clear shot, though. Deathstroke insists that Wintergreen not take out the scientist because, well, he wants to. Arrow's subdued by Deathstroke. Meanwhile, Adeline learns that she's pregnant. Upon arriving on the roof where the scientist is to be extracted, a chopper arrives with a minigunner. Wintergreen takes out the gunner, saving Slade's bacon. And a man named Walsh is watching the breaking news from Star City and orders the others activated. Green Arrow re-enters the fight. Deathstroke doing what he can to, again, at least more to escape, to get away, but Adeline's been trying to call Slade but no answer, so she calls Wintergreen, who tells her that Slade's taking care of some business. Slade attempts to jump off the roof. Green Arrow fires a rope arrow through Slade's back, with Slade noting that arrow's precise. The arrow in question missed Slade's heart, lungs, and spine, and that takes some real skill. Basically knew where to hit it to keep him alive. However, Slade cuts the line attached to the arrow. Another one is ready and fired, but unloosed by a Green Arrow. This one is deflected by Slade's sword, and Slade lands on the pavement right in front of Wintergreen. And that is where the issue ends. Deathstroke Year 1 is definitely proving interesting. I do kind of feel like this is just to avoid having Deathstroke Inc. tie in with Dark Crisis, but whatever. Moving on to our next book, though, we've got Justice League vs. Legion of Superheroes number 5. Where we left off, the League and the Legion were all accounted for back in the present. Some members have changed through their travel through time. Black Adam's an old man. Black Adam's looking as old as he is, while Green Arrow is notably younger, and one of the facets of Triplicate Girl is older significantly. But the League wants to analyze Gold Lantern's ring, and the story from the Justice League Annual is hinted upon, where a time traveler named Epic had shown up, warning of a Gold Lantern. But Gold Lantern refuses. The Legion side with them, but the darkness anomaly is spreading, and it spits something out. It's the old Legion of Doom headquarters. But and so he agrees to. It suggested that perhaps everyone should pool between the League and the Legion should pool what information they have from their recent travel through time. Figured maybe if all the pieces are laid out, perhaps they can make a cohesive picture out of them. With Ultra Boy explaining that they saw dinosaurs. Aquaman said it may have been a prehistoric era, and he was still the age he's supposed to be. Though he also thinks he hopes to stay looking young. White Witch notes that it's interesting that some of the members have aged younger or older. Wonder Woman states that a lot of the Legionnaires and the League members seem to think that someone's behind the whole thing, when it feels to her more like a natural disaster of sorts, a cosmic event, with Black Adam adding a time event. Cosmic Boy states that him, Saturn Girl, and Lightning Lad met Batman Beyond. Mon-El brings up meeting Kamandi, but neglects the fact that they also found a Leviathan base, which Naomi points out, with Brainiac adding that it was a devastated time, and he feels like it was from the lost chapters of Earth's history. Naomi puts the blame on Leviathan, though Brainiac says that their tech the tech they had there couldn't do it. Black Canary brings up a meeting running into Jonah Hex, and who was completely unfazed by their appearance. Chameleon Boy suggests that perhaps Jonah Hex and Epic are one and the same, or Timberwolf posits they're one and the same. While after Chameleon Boy brings him back up, Block asks how you find a time traveler. Gold Lantern says he met Alan Scott, but let's explain. One of the teams they say they've got something. Dr. Fate has been looking at it. The Legion of Doom headquarters is radiating undefined energies. With it seems to have absorbed some part of the Great Darkness. Triplicate Girl opts to re-merge in the hopes that perhaps that will get all three of them at the right age. Rose and Batman discuss certain things. Perhaps she has a weird idea. That the Age of Darkness is about the Age of Heroes. The Great Darkness is about the Age of Heroes, from Jonah Hex all the way to the Legion. Adding that dinosaurs come back at some point. But Batman brings up Epic. However, Triplicate Girl remembers something, explaining that they were working through what happened to them, and she asks who Vandal Savage is. But when the three of them merged, she saw his face. But it turns out the Great Darkness is all his plan. Then he explains that he traveled long and far, forward and backward, and discovered that the world was far better without the Age of Heroes. They ruined everything. So after a great deal of thought about his place in the universe and his true purpose, he decided to get rid of it. The Age of Heroes no longer exists. But he does have one last confession to the Leaguers and the Legionnaires. He could have done it all without them knowing it. But he wanted to make sure that they all felt the Great Darkness, the slow burn of hopelessness and helplessness. It was his gift to them. He's had to endure a great deal from them. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Vandal Savage is not who I would have expected to be involved in behind the whole thing. And which brings us to our last book for the moment. We've got Young Justice Targets, number 2. Where we left off, Princess Perdita of, or Queen Perdita of Latavia had been kidnapped with, while under the protection of Bowhunter security from Star Labs. Also, Green Arrow had been apparently knocked out during the assault. Artemis has shown up and gets a call from Oracle, who initiates a conference call with between, it seems, Young Justice, the Justice League, and Markovia. With King Brian Markov making very clear he does not want the none of the heroes are to enter Markovian space. The mission will be dealt by him and his Infinitors. They'll apprehend Vertigo and rescue Queen Perdita. That said, Beast Boy's wanting in on the rescue. And Raptor Squad, led by Robin, has managed to get some, is tracking a potential suspect. In Markovia, the Infinitors are getting ready to move out. The team consisting of Geoforce, Everyman, Kobold, Fury, and Trajectory. The team is ordered to protect the King when the King refuses to simply let the rest of the team deal with it themselves. Cyborg tells Black Lightning he wants to help rescue her, but, well, it's added that he can't be as he's a member of the Justice League. Being seen in Markovia, that's going to set off an international incident. Which is why they had the Beta team, which consists of Nightwing, Spoiler, Orphan, and Misc, as well as 13, though, well, Tracy 13, though it's apparently her turn to host Dr. Fate, and Naboo wasn't in a help them find the Queen kind of mood. But the Infinitors were go out, get some, use the intel they've gleaned. Apparently, there's a forested region where those who broke Count Vertigo out of prison and also kidnapped the Queen were seen. However, all the cabins are supposed to be closed for renovation. But one appears to be lit up. So Everyman turns into a raccoon. Kobold shrinks down and gets on his back. And the armored henchmen attack. The Queen is found, and Geoforce takes her back to Markovia. It seems, however, that the King's advisor is working with the armored villains, and the Infinitors are also in on, or appear to be in on it. Though not all of them are in on it. Though it's quite possible that, while Geoforce seemingly has Perdita, it's not Perdita. But that is where our A story ends. And then, like issue 1, we've got a memory, this time from Green Arrow, remembering when he saved Perdita from an assassination attempt by Count Vertigo. He was arriving at the Star City Airport, and Oliver Queen was arriving there to pick up Dinah Lance and propose to her. But with learning what was happening, he suited up and dropped a smoke arrow to protect the princess. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. I think I mentioned this with the first issue. I really do. I sadly do feel a bit lost as I've watched some of Young Justice, but I'm not up to date on it. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.